Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Teen Talk Central. In this week's episode, we're talking about the pressure to be interesting and why you don't have to be that girl to be enough. If this is something that you are relating to or something that you just want to listen to and support, then continue listening to this week's episode of Teen Talk Central. Hey guys, it's Mia and welcome back to another episode. It's a new week. It's just a new time to be alive, and it's an amazing time to be alive. So this week I wanted to focus a little bit about why you don't just have to be a certain type of girl to be enough and how being you is literally the only thing that matters. I feel like in today's world, everyone's trying to be quote-unquote interesting, whether it's through your outfits, your hobbies, your feed, your aesthetic, There's this pressure to stand out. But somehow, between trying to be different and I think trying to be enough, we start to lose what actually makes us us and what we do for ourselves. So this week, I want to talk about the pressure of not being that girl and what it means to live a life that really feels good and not just quote unquote looks good, because I feel like there is this kind of standard in our society that we have to look and act similar but also very different from one another. And I want to start where this pressure kind of even comes from. I think we live in a world of presentation where every moment can be posted, captioned, or turned into content. So naturally, I think we start thinking, am I doing enough? Am I interesting enough to be seen? All this stuff. And psychologists call this the social comparison theory, where we measure our worth by how we think we stack up against others. And this can create everyone's highlight reel showing. And it's not actually what someone's real life is. And the constant exposure creates the self-conception confusion, where your sense of identity depends more on how you look to others than how you actually feel inside. I think sometimes we can chase the aesthetic instead of the true authenticity of ourselves, and that's how and that's when we turn it into a performance, and your confidence is used as a performance instead of something that you truly believe in. So I think the need to be interesting comes from two things. The fear of invisibility, where we feel like we're fading into the background and becoming background characters instead of becoming main characters in our own lives. And the other one is probably just self-worth and conditioning our self-worth into believing we're only valuable when we're impressive. And some people link this to called contingent self-esteem, where your self-worth actually depends on external validation, which is not something that we should really be doing. When you're confident and you're confident when people like your posts, when your friends notice you, and when you seem cool enough, that is contingent self-esteem, where you have to get a certain amount of likes in order for you to love yourself. But that is just fragile confidence. It only lasts as long as someone's paying attention to you or liking your content, which is honestly the hard truth. But that's kind of how it is. If you only rely on social validation, then the minute that Instagram, TikTok, whatever maybe gets banned, then you kind of lose all confidence and self-worth in yourself. But the truth, I think, is that being interesting isn't really about being performing. It's not about performing. You're trying to be the best. It's about feeling like you're living and alive. You don't have to be the main character in the morning routine. You don't have to have this big glamorous 10-step morning skincare routine or have a niche hobby or the perfect Instagram grid. I think what's actually interesting about people is the curiosity that people can hold, and people who care and explore and listen to what you talk about. There's something amazing about that, and there's this quiet confidence in those who don't need to prove their self-worth every second to other people to get this validation. I think something that we can think about is, what if being interesting wasn't actually about being watched and about being engaged in our own lives and in our own activities, and we can engage ourselves more instead of trying to engage with the outside world and trying to get this validation from them. So let me make this a bit more practical. How do you stop performing and actually start living? That, obviously I'm telling you all these things, but how do you actually do it? So you can spend time doing things you don't post about. So, reclaim privacy. I think privacy is power. So not everything has to be shared to be real. Next one is catch yourself in a comparison loop. When you scroll and you are feeling, similar, a similar feeling, you can pause and ask yourself, What about this is making me feel less than or worthless? And then the last one is finding meaning, not metrics. I think, what would you still do if no one ever saw it? That is what actually matters. And if you say, oh, I wouldn't do anything, I think it's time to kind of rethink our habits and rethink what we do on a daily basis in order to feel good about ourselves. So what I've learned personally in my life is the most interesting people I know aren't trying to be interesting. They're actually grounded and curious, and they have passions that are going on, but they don't have to post about it. And yes, it's on the niche side, but it's not on purpose. It's something that they actually have a passion for, and they're kind people. I think kind people, it takes them a long way. You don't have to be pretty, you don't have to be blonde, you don't have to be skinny and have six-pack, and if you're kind and you're curious, I think that takes you so much farther. Being popular and blonde will probably only take you to high school, right? If you're popular, blonde, smart, and kind, that will take you far. There's so many other things in our lives that will take you farther than just how you look or how you compare yourself to other people at school. And another thing I've learned is they live deep instead of loudly. They do things for themselves, and they don't post it on social media all the time. They don't do it for the validation of others, which I think is so important. You have to do things for you, because at the end of the day, it's your life. You have to do it for you. No one else is going to help guide you through this life. So the next time you feel the pressure to perform, just remember that you don't have to be this girl, that specific girl. You just have to be you. And I think that's a big lesson that we all can take away from this episode, is just be yourself and don't do everything for the validation of others. Thank you guys so much for listening to this week's episode of Teen Talk Central. Don't forget to follow us on Spotify, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube for more conversations that actually make you think and, maybe make you rethink some of your life choices and life decisions. So, I love you guys so much. Thanks for listening, and I see you guys next week. Bye.